Billy Milligan is one of the most famous people connected with dissociative identity disorder, often called DID. His life has been discussed in psychology, law, and popular culture for many years. Some people believe his story shows how serious mental illness can become after terrible childhood experiences. Others question whether every part of his case should be accepted without doubt. Even today, his name continues to appear in books, television programs, and online discussions because his life raises difficult questions about memory, responsibility, and the human mind. Although many details remain controversial, Billy Milligan's story has encouraged people to think more carefully about mental health and the importance of proper treatment. Billy Milligan was born in 1955 in the United States. His early years were far from peaceful. According to reports, he experienced severe physical, emotional, and sexual abuse during childhood. Experts often explain that such painful experiences can have a deep effect on a young person's developing mind. Instead of feeling safe, a child may begin to separate painful memories from daily life as a way to survive. Over time, this coping method may become stronger and more complicated. Some psychologists believe that this process can eventually lead to dissociative identity disorder. While not every child who suffers abuse develops this condition, researchers agree that serious trauma is one of its strongest risk factors. Dissociative identity disorder is a rare mental health condition in which a person has two or more distinct identity states. These identity states may have different names, personalities, ages, voices, interests, and even different ways of speaking. In some cases, one identity may remember events that another identity cannot recall. This can create large gaps in memory and make daily life very confusing. People with DID do not simply pretend to become someone else. According to many mental health specialists, the changes happen without conscious control. Because of this, those who live with the disorder often struggle to understand their own actions and experiences. Billy Milligan became internationally known after his arrest in the late 1970s. He was accused of kidnapping, robbery, and the sexual assault of several women near a university in Ohio. During the legal investigation, his lawyers argued that he should not be held fully responsible because different personalities had carried out the crimes. This claim attracted enormous public attention. Many people had never heard about dissociative identity disorder before, so the case seemed almost unbelievable. Newspapers, television channels, and psychologists all followed the legal process closely. It soon became one of the most discussed criminal cases connected with mental illness. Mental health professionals examined Milligan over a long period. Some psychiatrists reported that they had identified many separate personalities living within the same person. These personalities were believed to have different backgrounds, skills, and emotional characteristics. Arthur, for example, was described as an educated Englishman with a calm and logical personality. Reagan was said to be a strong and protective man from Yugoslavia who often took control during dangerous situations. Alan was friendly, talkative, and able to communicate well with other people. Tommy was known for his ability to escape from difficult situations by using mechanical skills. David was a frightened young boy who was believed to carry much of the emotional pain. There were many other personalities as well, and some reports suggested that the total number eventually reached 24. One remarkable feature of the case was that these personalities appeared to have different abilities. Some spoke foreign languages, while others could play musical instruments or create detailed artwork. A few reportedly needed glasses, but others claimed that they could see normally without them. These reports amazed both the public and many researchers. However, not every scientist accepted these observations as clear proof of separate personalities. Some experts suggested that strong belief, suggestion, and careful role-playing might explain at least part of what had been observed. As a result, Billy Milligan's case remains the subject of debate even today. The court eventually decided that Milligan was not guilty by reason of insanity. Instead of being sent to prison, he was placed in psychiatric hospitals where he received treatment. This decision was highly controversial. Many people felt that justice had not been served because serious crimes had been committed. The victims and their families experienced pain and fear, and some members of the public believe that prison would have been the correct punishment. On the other hand, supporters of the decision argued that mental illness can reduce a person's ability to control behavior. If someone cannot fully understand or manage his actions because of a severe psychological disorder, treatment may be more appropriate than punishment. This difficult balance between public safety and mental health care continues to challenge legal systems around the world. During his years in psychiatric care, doctors worked with Milligan through different forms of therapy. The main goal was not simply to remove the personalities, but to help them communicate and eventually become integrated into one stable identity. Therapy often required patience because each personality had its own fears, memories, and emotions. Building trust was essential. Mental health professionals encouraged the personalities to share information with one another instead of remaining separated. This process was long and emotionally demanding. Progress did not happen overnight, but some reports suggested that important improvements were made over time. Billy Milligan's story also changed the way many people viewed mental illness. Before his case became famous, dissociative identity disorder was not widely understood by the general public. Many people assumed that unusual behavior always reflected bad character or criminal intentions. After learning about his experiences, some became more willing to accept that mental disorders can be extremely complex. They realized that psychological problems cannot always be seen on the outside. Just as physical injuries require medical care, mental illnesses often need professional treatment, understanding, and long-term support. At the same time, the case created several misunderstandings. Some films and television programs began to present DID as something mysterious or frightening. In many stories, characters with multiple personalities were shown as dangerous criminals. This image is not accurate for most people living with the disorder. In reality, many people with DID are far more likely to hurt themselves than others. They often struggle with anxiety, depression, nightmares, and painful memories from childhood. Daily activities such as working, studying, or maintaining relationships may become extremely difficult. Therefore, it is unfair to judge everyone with DID based on one famous criminal case. Modern research has provided a deeper understanding of trauma and dissociation. Scientists now know that the human brain has different ways of responding to overwhelming stress. When a child faces repeated abuse without protection or support, the mind may separate painful experiences from ordinary awareness. This survival strategy can help the child continue living during terrible circumstances. However, the same strategy may later create serious psychological difficulties in adult life. Researchers continue to study how memory, emotions, and identity develop after trauma. Although many questions remain unanswered, there is growing agreement that early intervention and safe environments are essential for healthy emotional development. The case of Billy Milligan also demonstrates the importance of careful diagnosis. Mental health conditions are often complicated, and different disorders can share similar symptoms. Because of this, doctors must collect detailed information before reaching conclusions. Interviews, medical history, psychological testing, and long-term observation all play important roles. A rushed diagnosis may lead to incorrect treatment, while a careful evaluation can help patients receive the support they truly need. This lesson remains valuable for both medical professionals and society as a whole. Another important point is the role of public opinion. When unusual cases receive widespread media attention, people often form quick opinions before all the facts become available. Some may completely believe every report, while others reject everything without considering scientific evidence. A balanced approach is much more helpful. It is wise to respect medical research, listen to experienced professionals, and recognize that complex psychological conditions cannot always be explained in simple terms. Critical thinking is especially important when stories become highly emotional or sensational. Billy Milligan spent many years away from public life after leaving psychiatric care. He tried to live quietly and avoided unnecessary attention. In 2014, he died from cancer at the age of 59. Even after his death, discussions about his life have continued. Books, documentaries, and television series have introduced his story to new generations. Some creators focus mainly on the dramatic parts of his life, while others try to explore the psychological and legal questions raised by his case. As a result, people continue to debate what really happened and what lessons should be learned. His life reminds us that mental health is closely connected to childhood experiences, emotional safety, and access to proper care. It also shows that the relationship between psychology and the legal system can be very complicated. Courts must protect society while also recognizing genuine mental illness. Doctors must provide accurate diagnoses and effective treatment, even when public pressure is intense. Families, schools, and communities also have an important responsibility to protect children from abuse and to offer support when warning signs appear. To sum up, Billy Milligan remains one of the most remarkable and controversial figures associated with dissociative identity disorder. His story combines trauma, crime, medicine, and law in a way that continues to attract worldwide attention. Although experts still disagree about certain parts of his case, there is no doubt that it encouraged greater discussion about mental health and the effects of severe childhood abuse. Rather than viewing his life only as an unusual story, it is more valuable to see it as a reminder of the importance of compassion, scientific research, and responsible mental health care. By improving our understanding of psychological disorders and supporting those who need help, society can move toward a future where people receive treatment earlier, victims are better protected, and difficult cases are handled with both fairness and humanity.